So where does our energy come from? We know that our bodies need energy to carry out a variety of tasks, and we know from our ecology unit that all of the energy that we use ultimately came from the sun at some point. It went from the sun to autotrophs to heterotrophs, which we called consumers and carnivores and herbivores, all those kinds of things, and ultimately led to us. But exactly how does that relate to what's going on inside of our bodies? All right, because we know our cells need to do a variety of kinds of works. There are 3 different kinds of work that cells need to do. One is chemical work. All right, so it's the pushing of endergonic reactions that don't occur spontaneously. An example would be when we need to build molecules. Okay, let's pause for a second. Endergonic just means that it's a reaction that requires energy to go into that reaction to make it happen. Okay, and so we know that when we go from one molecule to multiple molecules as your body's hooking things together, that takes energy to do that. Cells also need to do transport work. All right, so we're moving things across a cell membrane. So like our sodium potassium pumps that we see in action potential and nervous system and muscle function, those kind of things. And then mechanical work. All right, cells need to move. All right, whether it's the beating of cilia or it's the mechanical digestion of your cells inside your small intestine, those kinds of movements are required for cells. So we have 3 different ways that cells need to do work, and they need an energy source to do that. And they can't just take the cheeseburger that you ate for lunch, break it down and run off of bits of cheeseburger. We need to convert that down to a more standardized and uniform molecule that's more efficient for our cells to use. And that molecule is going to be ATP. All right, so the food that you eat ultimately is going to be converted into ATP, which is a type of energy that your cell can run off of. All right, so we just chemically have to go down and convert it a few times, but we get this little energy packet of ATP. What is ATP? It stands for adenosine triphosphate. That's the molecule's name. If we break that term down, we see that we have adenine as part of it. So think about your ribose sugar in there. Has an adenine group attached to it, just like we see in our DNA unit. And then 3 phosphate groups, hence the triphosphate. So we look at this molecule down there, a little closer look at it, and from a molecular standpoint, we see those phosphate groups have a number of bonds in between there, and they're bonds that we can fairly easily break apart. And so when your body requires energy, that last phosphate bond can be broken, and that releases free energy for your body to use in whatever way it needs to. All right, the results of that is going to be ADP, so adenosine diphosphate, meaning there's only 2 left, and then a free phosphate group. Your body has different ways of recycling that ADP to convert it back into ATP when we're consuming food and doing those kinds of things. That's a conversation for a different day. But by snipping off that last phosphate group, we create a little a pocket of energy there that your cell can use for those 3 kinds of work that it needs to go through. So think of ATP as the battery or the energy currency of the cell. So I like to think about your home is probably powered off of maybe a variety of things. Could be coal, natural gas, solar, wind, who knows what your home is powered off of. But it's not like you have coal that is burning in the light bulb of your bedroom. No, that coal is converted into electricity, and then that's what your house is powered off of. Same thing with your body. You're not burning it off of the food that you ate, but it's converting that into ATP, and then ATP can then be used. So that's the energy that drives the cell's reactions. And then cells will store molecules that can readily store ATP and little pockets of ATP so that it's ready for those reactions that are required on demand. All right, so there's ATP in a nutshell. We're going to keep going into more in depth on how we actually achieve this from the things that we eat and how the things that we eat store that chemical energy to start with. If this is helpful for you, follow along for more science lessons, more tips, those kind of things. Thanks for watching.